another level.
Let's get it. Run it up. Check the scope. Money talk, money mo. Yeah. Main crew say they weed it. Kicking down the door. Run it up. Check the scope. Money talk, money mo. What? Main crew say they weed it. Kicking down the door. Let's go. And it's the whole lane when I'm driving the machines.
What is going on? Heavy Pour Sports Wednesday, and we are 10 days away from college football. It's going to be the longest 10 days of the year probably, but we aren't far from North Carolina and TCU in Dublin. But before we talk about a little college football, boys, we've all had a week. Drew moving back into Kentucky, Hammer working 18-hour days, and I'm tearing up my body, but stop itching because college football's around the corner. Gentlemen, how you doing?
I'm doing good. We don't need to dive deep into your injury. There's a little bit of an injury. Hopefully it doesn't keep you out of media madness. But
yeah. I'm keeping it under wraps because I don't want to
you can't give out the injury report.
No, can't give it out. Now we'll see how it goes. Chat tells me it's impossible. I'm about to prove her wrong.
Yeah, but I'm back in the bluegrass. It feels good to be back. Last week of summer before we get back grinding in the classroom, which sounds miserable, but one more year and then we're done. So lock in. There we go.
I feel you, man. I'm back in this school environment too here in Quantico. And this reading, and I had to write a paper for the. I've been here a month. I've already had to write 2 papers. I'm done with this stuff. The master's degree thing is not it. Hammer, how many degrees you got? You're a smart guy.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
Just give a number.
It's classified. More than one. How's that?
I'm about to say I'm going to guess 3.
More than one.
I'm going to guess 3. But hot or cold? Over, under 3.5?
Under.
Okay. I think I'm smart. I think I nailed it with 3. But let's move on. NFL news. We got some signings, injuries, unfortunately, but popped up on my feed yesterday. The Seahawks bolster their secondary again. Diggs signed after, what we thought would maybe be a weak secondary, really the only weakness of that defense, but they really started to bolster it up. Are the Seahawks getting closer to the Rams as Super Bowl favorite? What do you think, Hammer?
That signing doesn't move me that much because had they gotten Diggs 2 or 3 seasons ago, maybe. Not so much now. Kind of like the Von Miller signing for Dallas.
Yeah.
Which for that defense, I mean it's not terrible, but they definitely could give better support to the offense. I think just the veteran leadership is important. In Vaughn's case, I don't know how much of that really will translate over in Travion Diggs' case. So for me, it's not that big a deal. Did they fill a need? Yes. Did they bring an experienced guy in that can maybe help some of the youngsters? Yes. Impact, for me, jury's still out.
Now, Terrion Arnold, I know he was in the building. They said they're going to sign him, but they still don't know if he's going to play, right? So Diggs could just be like a death piece if Terrion cannot play.
Could be. Kind of like the way they brought Joey Bosa in. He didn't have to play every down. He could come in situations, third down, just to bring pass rush. But he actually played a pretty decent amount of snaps last year and stayed relatively healthy compared to some of his previous seasons. And looking at the odds board, Seahawks are still plus 1,100. Rams are still plus 550 with the Bills and Ravens both at plus 1,000. Okay. So it didn't really move the needle that much for Seattle. So I think the market kind of reacted to it the same way I did, which was,
You agree, Drew? Just kind of a potential death piece there, not Not anything. Not anything that's going to really push them over the edge, and especially in their tough division.
Yeah, I think. Well, certainly you give the Seahawks the benefit of the doubt because they just won the Super Bowl. And so that always helps when you have that experience. And sometimes maybe you go backwards as a roster, but you're still able to get there. I look at the Chiefs and, we were supposed to dive into them last night. Obviously, we had to move it till next Tuesday with the NFL show. But like the Chiefs have gotten worse in certain years than they were the year before. And yet they still win Super Bowls or make the Super Bowl. So I guess could the Seahawks do it? Sure. Trayvon Diggs is an interesting corner because he gives up a ton of yards and he gives up a ton of touchdowns, but he's like an elite interception cornerback for some reason, or at least he was previously. So the Tavion Arnold signing is certainly interesting and something to monitor, but yeah, I don't know. I think the Rams they have the firepower. And you look across their roster, they got stars everywhere.
And depth.
Yeah. But the Seahawks, I mean, they've been there before. They just won it. So I don't know. I don't think they're in the same tier as the Rams, but I think certainly they're at the top of the next tier because I think the NFC and really the NFL, it's the Rams. And then there's kind of categories throughout of different tiers of NFL teams, in my opinion. So I think the Seahawks are definitely near the top, but I wouldn't put them in the same ballpark as the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah, I honestly think Diggs is still hyped from that one season he had with Dallas. He played well. Again, high turnover guy. He's a high risk, high reward dude. But then he just kind of fell off. I think there was some of the football gods were in his favor that year he kind of broke out with Dallas because he just hasn't been a steady, reliable corner. But he is someone who if he's your third or fourth dude coming off the bench, it's not a bad thing. The other big signing this week, Vita Vea agrees to a $30 million deal with the Bucks. I know he was kind of upset. There was a big point of contention with their offseason and going into training camp. You can't replace a Vita Vea. I know he's getting old. But when it comes to, stuffing up the middle, stopping the run, it doesn't matter how many dudes you have on him. You ain't moving him. So I think the Bucks had to find a way to pay him and try to keep him on the roster through the back end of his career. But I know that was when y'all did your NFL show and talking about that division, Bucks, Falcons, Saints, Panthers. I'm assuming you had already baked in Vita Vea being on the team, so probably doesn't change your thoughts on that division either.
We didn't pencil him in on the roster, but I don't think it changes. I don't remember who Hammer picked. I picked the Panthers to win it, and I picked them to go like 9-8. So it's a very balanced league. There's no, I guess, really any of the four teams in the division could theoretically win it because none of them are like horrendous, but none of them are great. And I mentioned it on the show, like the Buccaneers could be good enough, but they have a lot of question marks. And one of those question marks was Vita Vea. And also the contract situation with Baker. Obviously, that won't be resolved till the end of the year. Bucky Irving, coming back off an injury and stuff like that. So it's certainly big that they got Vita Vea back, have him locked in. I guess we'll see kind of how this year unfolds and then what they decide to do with Baker, which will be interesting. But, yeah, I think I don't know. It doesn't move the needle that much in the division. I still would have the Panthers winning it, but not by very much.
Hammer, who'd you have? I know we talked about the Saints being sneaky, but I don't know if I'm sold on Bryce Young. I think the Panthers got better, or at least they have, another year with that team, so they could grow. the Buccaneers have seemingly gotten worse. We did talk about Mike Evans leaving as a bigger deal than people are making it.
Sure is.
But the Saints added a lot. Unfortunately, we'll get to the Alvin Kamara injury here in a little bit, but I think the Saints could be a sneaky play if you're picking the two top teams from last year, the Bucs and the Panthers. I think the Saints to sneak in. Do you agree, or how do you think that division plays out?
Well, I picked the Saints.
Okay.
Because I felt like, I think, and especially now, I mean, hindsight, it's always 20/20, right? But bringing Travis Etienne into that team to be the one to where Alvin Kamara is not having to take so many snaps, and now, got to wait and see what's going to happen there. But he's an incredible player. He's not the player he was 3-4 years ago, but still, he's a weapon. And I think Tyler Shugg, had he played the entire season last year, I think he probably wins Rookie of the Year because he really came on the last part of the season. And solid wide receivers, the defense. I think they kind of traded because they did lose a couple key players, but they also had some good signings. So I've still got the Saints as my pick. And if it does anything for me, it just moves the Bucs up a spot and drops the Panthers a spot, because I think I agreed that I had Carolina second, because I'm not sold on Bryce Young. And, yeah, the defense is pretty good, and it got a little better thanks to actually the Saints. They landed DeMario Davis from them. But Mike Evans is gone, and also Levante David is gone off that Bucs defense.
That's right.
Because he retired. So, you got two stalwarts that have been there forever, it feels like, no longer there. And we kind of thought maybe Vita Vea wasn't going to play for anybody this year. So we didn't include that in the assessment, but it doesn't really change. The Bucs are not going to win that division. 10 games will win that division. 9 games may.
9 games might. Yeah. I think 9-10 wins easily gets it.
And I think Atlanta's just. I'm sorry, but they're going to be a train wreck.
I agree. I have no faith in Stefanski.
Yeah. Also, with the Saints, Jordan Tyson now going to miss the first potentially 2 months of the regular season. So, that's going to be interesting, because that's a big position for the Saints. Obviously, they have Chris Olave, but to get another, elite level rookie wide receiver, Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State, that's a tough blow for them. So obviously they have 2 good running backs, and they're both pretty good pass catchers in the backfield as well. So they're going to need both of those guys to step up in ETN and Alvin Kamara, obviously.
Yeah. And Kente Miller, I mean, he's made a name for himself in spot fields and spot starts over the past few years too. And, solid role player. So he's going to have to step up. And, ETN is I think he's a little underrated, honestly, because he had a little trouble out of the gate. I think a lot of that was coaching, and then he sort of got unlocked a little bit. And now he's in an offense where he's going to be, featured, not just a part of it, but featured. So I like this Saints offense. If the defense can just hold serve, they don't have to be lights out, but if they can just hold serve, we could see New Orleans in the playoffs this year.
Yeah, I think it's a lot on Tyler Shugg too. He showed signs of progression, but he's going to have to be able to really figure himself out and play as a serviceable quarterback. Nothing crazy, just serviceable quarterback play. But Alvin Kamara probably going to miss the beginning of the season with the strained MCL, so we'll see how well that does. You're completely right, Hammer, that ETN signing proving to be even a bigger deal now. When it comes to other signings this week, the Colts added a new receiver, Keenan Allen, one of my favorite receivers of all time. I'm not really sure if that does much for them. It tells me that losing Pittman and relying on Alec Pierce and some of the, their up-and-coming wide receivers maybe not what they thought, or maybe they just need like a veteran leadership presence in that wide receiver room. Keenan Allen will be a nice pickup for them, and probably even a bigger deal now because I think his signing was before Tyler Warren went down with the groin injury. Maybe it was about the same time, but Tyler Warren classified as a notable groin injury, and that's a big piece of their offense. Keenan Allen can fit as that slot guy to kind of take some of that tight end pass catching role away if Tyler Warren misses some time.
Yeah, Keenan Allen's also like an elite red zone receiver, and still really is. You saw him on the Chargers when he went back; he was pretty good there. And obviously he's a big body. He's still athletic. He's still long. Versatile receiver. So I think it was a good signing. I think we talked about them last Tuesday, and we mentioned one of the question marks was the receiver room. And so surely, yeah, they didn't go get a big time, ultra productive receiver in today's game. But to add somebody veteran, guy who's been around the block, who's played in multiple offenses now, I think it doesn't make them Super Bowl contenders or AFC contenders or anything like that, but it certainly helps the Colts of what it would be without him. So, especially with the Tyler Warren injury as well.
Yeah, and Josh Downs is with Alec Pierce hurt again. Guy can't stay healthy. So,
which one's hurt again? Alec Pierce or Josh Downs?
Alec Pierce.
Dadgum.
Yeah, he's hurt again. So
I love the way he plays, but you're right, he cannot stay healthy.
Yeah, he can't stay healthy. And if he can ever stay on the field for a full season, who knows what could happen. But Josh Downs, because man, they were looking at like Nick Westbrook-Akine being in the starting slot. So Keenan Allen's a target monster.
Yes.
Like he garners. No matter who the quarterback is, no matter what team he plays on, he gets fed because the guy he knows how to get open. He catches anything it's within a reasonable radius. And to your point, Rando, yes, he's an absolute beast inside the red zone and makes just amazing catches in the end zone. And I mean, yeah, Tyler Warren, a nice player. He's not, I don't think, broke out to the point of being elite. And it may sound a little silly, but it's not, because Mo Alley Cox is going to be the guy to step in should Warren not be able to go.
That is one giant human. Mo Alley Cox has got to be one
massive. He looks like an offensive lineman. The
dude is huge, man.
Mountain of a man. And so
it's like him and Darnell Washington. It's like those two players aren't fair on a football field.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's a matchup problem. Just he can just play like he's playing in the low post and box people out and move the chains. So, and he's pretty athletic. So yeah. I don't think the Warren injury is as devastating, especially now with the Allen signing, because Mo's been there, done that, fixture on the team. So I think they'll be fine. The real question is going to be, is Daniel Jones going to be able to stay on the field, or if he is, can he be productive and get him the ball? Was last year an aberration before he got hurt? I think it's a real question that's got to be answered with that team. And we don't really know what this defense is going to look like. I'm a little concerned about their defense.
Yeah, as we're sitting here talking, I'm convincing myself that Keenan Allen might be worth a late fantasy football.
I mean, yeah, he'd be worth a flyer for sure.
Especially we're in a PPR league, right? Mm-hmm. As Alex is trying to get back healthy, Josh Downs figuring himself out. Quarterback coming off a terrible injury, he's going to be looking for a nice little safety blanket. Keenan Allen might have 6 catches for 60 yards, but that's 12 points for you right there. It's not a bad flex play.
Definitely not.
Don't steal him from me. Don't snipe him from me.
You just leaked your game plan.
Let's see. Well, maybe 10th, 12th round wide receiver play. We'll see. All right, but I think that's pretty much it for NFL news. Did I miss anything? We already talked about Von Miller, the Cowboys. I don't know if that really does much. Again, I think that it's more of a veteran presence for a defense that needs some help than someone who's going to be super impactful on the football field.
Yeah. One other player I think is notable is Kyle Monangai, the running back for the Bears. He had a hyperextension, one of his knees during practice. They expect him to miss multiple weeks, but that could also be 3 or 4 weeks, and it won't really impact the season. But it would definitely be something to keep an eye on, because it's tough to diagnose, like, recovery time on that, because it just depends on how he responds, how bad the hyperextension was, things like that. So just another notable player that to keep in mind.
And now we have NFL players coming back to college football, so that's certainly going to be a wrinkle. And the season starts in 2 weeks, so
yeah. So all that still
preseason games.
Yeah. Some of that's still pending. Yeah, that's a good transition there to the 5-5. So some court rulings have come out and supported the Colorado ruling from a couple weeks ago and have denied NCAA a stay. Ohio granted NCAA a stay, I believe. Drew, Tennessee was today. California was yesterday. Any other states make their decisions yet? Do you know?
I think that might be it as far as off the top of my head.
Yeah, it's only two I remember.
I know California is good. So those players, I guess, they're free. They're free to do whatever they want. So I think we're still waiting on Kentucky. I think we're still waiting on, like, official word from Ohio. And then I don't know any other states.
Yeah. So, yeah, Tennessee, Jalen White. I think the only thing that would hurt your center hammer is if for some reason the Colorado ruling is the appeal and the NCAA gets to stay at that level, which I don't anticipate. So seemingly Jalen Washington is good to play next year. Any concerns from the Tennessee side?
No, I mean, the way these court rulings have gone and the NCAA's, streak of getting their ass handed to them in these things.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not going to sweat it. If we end up not landing him, we just don't get him and we move on. It's not a showstopper or a deal breaker, in my opinion. Would it be nice? Of course, but it's not going to be the end of the world if that doesn't work out in our favor.
So what about some of this stuff from the NCAA and folks close to the NCAA making threats, I guess is the best way to put it, strong statements about, yes, we might not be able to do things in the season, but committee members aren't going to forget that you let these players come in at this time. Kind of a Bush League statement in my mind. Kyle Tucker put out a tweet that I really agreed with, which is like, if you were a conspiracy theorist and like, hey, the committee will intentionally put up a team here or pull a team away here or do certain things to make it easier for them, harder for them, then you have someone like this saying like, hey, guess what? Don't forget we have a big say in how this thing goes. It kind of is like, how often do you guys think this way? But any concerns there that, just allowing, filling a need, a kid who has been designated to play, you're doing things all the right way per what the courts say,
right?
You let this kid in, and all of a sudden 4 or 5 months from now, you make the tournament and you get a seeding that doesn't seem fair because you let him play. Any concerns there, or do you think that's just the NCAA pouting at the moment?
I think they're playing the role of a petulant child at the moment. They're not getting it play, so they're going to throw a fit, show their ass, and talk a bunch of nonsense, and it's just going to continue. I mean, they have completely lost all power. They can't even enforce their own rules now. So the best thing they could do is just close up shop honestly. Just
or just let everybody go.
just get out of the way.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's going to matter. And yeah, it's easy to say, well, we'll do this or we'll do that, but I think when the time comes, what runs college athletics? What's the one common denominator, whether it's football or basketball? Bingo, it's money. So when it comes down to it, they're going to do what's best for the brand, the sport. We're not going to see any of that craziness. We're not going to see, a top 5 Ken Palm or RPI team going to a 4 seed and playing, the hardest bracket. I mean, stuff like that's not going to happen.
Yeah, and honestly, I dare them to do it.
Yeah,
I dare them to do it, and let's see what happens from the conferences, from the schools, from the coaches, from the teams, from the fan bases. Because you think shit's bad now, like drop a team like Kentucky or drop a team like Tennessee or drop a team like Duke, and not every team's in this situation, but I'm just saying it. And let's see the outrage that you get from that. So, and also like, okay, leave Kentucky out of the tournament. Well, how much money do you lose from that? Now, obviously there'd be 68 other teams still in the field, but you lose one of the biggest sellers, one of the biggest brands, one of the biggest fan bases in college sports, Kentucky basketball fans. So I'm just using Kentucky as an example, but if it happened to everybody or anybody, I mean, I think you would see fans from everywhere coming out and being like, this is BS. So I dare them to try something like that, because I don't think it'll turn out to be very good for them. But it'll certainly be, it'll just add to the entertainment factor that we get from college sports in today's day and age.
Yeah, they kind of flirted a little bit, I think, with that with Alabama last year in basketball with Betty Yako, because they're like, okay, we can't stop you from playing him in the regular season, but damn it, we can stop you from playing him in the postseason. But I don't think at this point there's been so many rulings against them, against their rules, that they're literally powerless. They have to go after people like Arian Carter now over rules that may have mattered 20 years ago. So that's their power now. They've still got the bark of a big old junkyard dog, but they've got the bite of a toothless puppy.
Yeah, I like see him say stuff. Quote there, whose line is it anyways? Where the rules are made up and the points don't matter.
Yep.
That basically
describes
the NCAA.
Yep.
And it's like, again, if they won to say the thing is just so idiotic, it's stupid, which kind of matches what the NCAA has how they have acted recently. But you would think they just get tired of getting smacked. Like, how many lawsuits do you want filed against you where you lose and all this other silliness comes up?
And how much money it's costing them.
And they got to be tired of going through it all too.
Got to be.
You would think they seem to almost enjoy it. But yeah, Drew, I agree. They need to just kind of get out of their own way. They said the 2022 class wasn't going to be able to play. They slow rolled this thing. They, once the school they graduated, transfer portal closed. Okay, now we're gonna enact the 5 for 5, and this lawsuit happens, and the court ruling is, and then they lose another battle. Instead of trying to fight it, they should have been like, all right, 2022 class, that's fine. We'll agree, shake your hands, that's it. No more, good to go. And then, but no, they wanted to fight it. Here it goes, and now it just gets ugly and uglier, muddier. But on the Kentucky side, not even getting to football. I'm sure Tennessee has some players that potentially could come back. Alex Safari is practicing. We'll see if he becomes eligible. Kind of goes into that comment we just brought up of like, he was at Packers camp not too long ago. Now he's back in college. Is it right?
I mean, I think we can all agree it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous. Yes.
Bullshit.
It's one of those things where I would love to have him back. Alex Safari on our defense is going to be phenomenal. If he's told he's eligible per the rules, then yes, bring him back. But it is silly. Like, this dude was his career was over, and then next thing you know, it's back, and he may or may not have made the Packer team. Probably not if he's out here playing for Kentucky. So definitely silly, but there's a lot on the line for a lot of football teams. Even big programs, Indiana, Ohio State. The bigger schools could get some fifth-year players back that could really make them even more dangerous. But focusing on the basketball side, as we welcome all vol ball T-Step in. What's up, dude? But Drew, from the Kentucky side, you broke some news. You and Jack Pilgrim on the 2.5-hour Zoom call with Jackson Kohler, still waiting to see if Mark Mitchell will be eligible per the Kentucky rule. But Jackson Kohler, through the California court ruling, is eligible. BYU, Kentucky. You got a sense of when we might get some news on that? Do you think the BYU Zoom call with Kohler that happened earlier this evening around 8:30, I think is when you said it was going to happen? Do you think that wraps up the recruitment for BYU? Do you think Kohler waits until the Kentucky ruling to see if he can step in and fill the Mark Mitchell role, who's potentially Pope's number one choice? How do you think this thing plays out in the next day or two?
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting because I think, obviously, if you didn't know, Jackson Kohler had a 2.5-hour Zoom meeting today with Kentucky. It went as good as it could have. It went, really, really good according to some sources. He obviously had a meeting earlier today with BYU as well. Could be going on right now still. I'm not really sure. I was told earlier in the day that it was starting at 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. I'm not 100% sure on that, but this is going to be really interesting because we now have a Jackson Kohler timeline, and he's 100% good to go. We don't have to worry about the transfer portal. We don't have to worry about if he has a fifth year. We don't have to worry about the interconference transfer portal rules. We don't have to worry about any of that. The only thing that Kentucky's really worrying about right now is, I think, obviously, if they want Jackson Kohler, then to earn his commitment through recruiting him, obviously, like they're doing. And then number two, trying to juggle the Mark Mitchell. So I haven't really been able to figure out who they want more. I don't even know if Kentucky has that answer. I think this will be interesting because I wouldn't be surprised if Jackson Kohler is ready to wrap this up within the next 24 hours. It sounded like it was down to Kentucky and BYU. I know some other schools are still kind of in the loop, but I don't know if financially and certain things, if they can match that. And I'm also not so sure BYU can match what we expect Kentucky's offer would be, because it sounds like BYU's run a little short on money in the basketball program, which is certainly interesting. So I don't know. I really have no idea. Well, I messaged you last night and I said, this is kind of crazy because is this a recruitment to keep Jackson Kohler tied to Kentucky's hip while they wait for Mark Mitchell if he's their number one guy, and they try to keep him from not committing to BYU just in case? Do they like Jackson Kohler a lot and they want to try to immediately get him done? And Mark Mitchell was the backup plan. I have no idea. I don't really know if anybody has an idea. So it'll be interesting to see because Mark Mitchell's case really could come out at any time, and we could find the ruling with that. It could be good. It could be bad. Even if it's good, we now have, I guess, statements from the SEC saying that they could initiate an interconference transfer portal rule and that the SEC would push back on that. So that's certainly interesting. Obviously, he's transferring from Missouri. Missouri's in the SEC. Kentucky's in the SEC. So that's going to be strange. I really have no idea. I think the biggest thing is really just Kentucky keeps recruiting Kohler. I guess if he's ready to commit, then if you're Mark Pope and staff, you got to make the decision. Do you take Kohler or do you pass on him and you hope that it works out for Mitchell? I hope not, because we learned this earlier in the portal cycle with Donnie Freeman and the Ranchik kid, the transfer from Colorado. and you waited for one kid was ready to commit, you waited for one, and you missed on them both. So I hope that's not the case. Obviously, we're all hoping that Mitchell, we get that ruling, ASAP. Obviously, the latest will be Friday, but crazy times with Kentucky trying to figure out this last and final 15th roster spot. And we're focusing on 2 players, but there's like 50 different things with both players to be able to figure it out. So it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah. So I will, with the 2 players you mentioned, Rancic and Freeman. Again, there was a little battle with St. John's. Let's not forget that Keegan Brown stepped in and said, "No, you're not paying him $4.5 million. There's too much of a risk." Yes, you did lose Rancic because you went in that battle, and Donnie Freeman was your clear choice. But you still had. You remember we fell into McBride. There were some clear backup plans that were there. From my understanding, Mark Mitchell is their number 1 guy. And I think the tea leaves writing on the wall shows that, because like you said, Jackson Kohler, he wants to play in the 4 spot. The family likes Kentucky, and Pope solidified again with another Zoom call that lasted 2.5 hours. I think if they offered him and said, "Hey, let's wrap this up," they would do that. Along with, I know the money isn't out there, but I would guess, Drew, you can tell me if I'm hot or cold, if Trimble made $3 to $4 million, Jackson Kohler in this market is probably in the 4 to 5-ish range. It would be my guess. So that money's available. Here you go.
I'd say
3 to 5.
Yeah,
okay.
I'd say something like that.
So I think this thing would already been wrapped up, but Jackson Kohler was the number 1 guy. But that being said, he's a great 1B option. And if he wants to play the 4 and play for Kentucky, it makes sense for both of them. Like, what's the rush? BYU has nobody else they're tracking. They're going to lose their center, who just went in the transporter. Now he might come back, but they need to fill this.
That also, people were speculating that Kiba Keaton news had nothing to do with Jackson Kohler.
Yeah. But I mean, it would potentially clear. I mean, they already had the spot, but it might clear up some extra money from the fine to incentivize him a little bit more to play again, because they need a center. That's not where he wants to play. But yeah, so I think Mark Mitchell's the number 1, and for both parties, Pope and the Kohler family, why rush it? If you want to come to Kentucky, let's see. Let's see that they've said all the things that you want to hear about his position. You know, being the 2 option for Kentucky isn't a bad spot to be. Leverage might play in your favor if Mark Mitchell and this Kentucky ruling don't go in the right way, right? So you're like, hey, we're here, ready to go. Let's make this thing happen. But then you also mentioned the SEC, and I want to get the Tennessee fans' perspective here, because there is SEC to SEC transfers that have happened. You got Pope from Texas to Texas A&M. You have Washington from Vandy to Tennessee. Apparently, Greg Sankey has no problem with that, because they were in the portal in April. They had no eligibility left, but they jumped in the portal in April. Now, the court ruling,
Denzel Aberdeen
committed to a school already. He had no eligibility, but committed to a school already from the transfer portal. Made no sense. But now the 5 for 5 includes 2022. So these players who didn't jump in the portal because they had no eligibility left, seemingly makes sense to just say, hey, my college career's over with. When they jump in this new portal granted by Judge Sweeney here a few weeks ago, now Greg Sankey's like, nope, those schools probably going to get punished. I think I'm looking at this pretty rationally, common sense wise, of like, those 2 things are arbitrary. Like, if I entered the portal when I had no eligibility left, who cares? If I entered the portal when now I do have eligibility left, but the original portal was closed, who cares? Both groups are now eligible to play. Whether you like the rule or not, both are eligible to play. Does it make sense to y'all, Hammer, that Greg Sankey would have an issue with the dudes who entered the portal afterwards, i.e. Mark Mitchell, vice the ones who were in the portal even though I had no eligibility left?
No, I'm on the same page as you. Like you're either, like you said, the timing doesn't matter because you can now be in it. So it does.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm with you. I guess he's just finding something to try to make us think about, to try to act like he's doing something as a, as a conference commissioner or whatever. But no, I'm not too impressed by him like taking a stand or having an issue with this. It doesn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
I'm the same way because it doesn't make any sense when you enter the portal and you have no eligibility. You're just like entering it for no reason, and I get it. You shouldn't get punished for not entering the portal with no eligibility, because who would have thought this ever would have happened? Now I get it. Some kids got out in front of it, and credit to them and their agents and their circle, for like Denzel Aberdeen, his agent and his circle told him just enter the portal because this might happen. So credit to him and his agent and his circle. But for Mark Mitchell, he shouldn't get punished and not be able to transfer a play just because he didn't have people around him, which is also false. I'm sure he has great people around, but they didn't advise him to enter the portal for no reason. Mark Mitchell thought his career was over. I'm going to go play in the NBA G League or the Summer League or over in Europe, and we'll see what happens. And then this happens. You shouldn't get punished and not be able to pick 15 other schools, obviously excluding Missouri because he technically could go back, but their roster is full. So I don't know how that works. But how do you take 15 schools, a potential destination, out of him just because the rule gets changed? It makes no sense to me. It's a phony attempt to try to like put your stamp on something because something again didn't go your way. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, and we just talked about it, and lawsuits in the NCAA losing, like this is just another one that Mark Mitchell would stack on and say, hey, NIL and capitalism says I am worth what someone's willing to pay me, but you are telling me that the only school I can go to is Missouri, so they'd have to kick someone off the team and pay me X amount of money. Vice Kentucky has a spot for me, or any other school has a spot for me and wants to pay me 3X that. You have now taken away my name, image, and likeness of what it has become. And it's just another lawsuit of, it being damaging to the player that the NCAA will lose. Now, Hammer and T, I know you would absolutely love it if Greg Sankey was like, guess what? Mark Mitchell can't play, but y'all play or get it, just from a fan perspective, be able to come dunk on me. But Hammer, I imagine – yeah, I imagine you would wrap up this with saying you agree it's silly for Sankey to make statements like this, just like it was for the NCAA to say the committee can get involved with tournament rankings with these dudes.
Yeah, I mean 100%. If Greg Sankey wants to, get 15 seconds of camera time or something, I mean, he's got a lot of other things he could talk about, like lifting the suspension that Arian Carter got for the first 2 games of the season. I mean, I have been a proponent for years for the NCAA just to dissolve and let the conference commissioners govern their own body of schools. But in this particular case, or comment rather, there have been too many cases, too much precedent has been set. They're not going to be able to do anything anyway. So, because if a player can go to a judge and take down the freaking NCAA, I don't think a conference commissioner's got any chance anyway. So, I think it was probably best just to stay out of it because it's free enterprise, it's capitalism. You're not you can't enforce the rules you already got. You can't start making up rules on the fly. So, it was kind of asinine to even say that. Because look how many players transferred from one SEC school to another SEC school.
Right.
So,
and again, and some entered the portal, and
but even that doesn't matter now.
Yeah, exactly.
With
like
this ruling.
Some entered the portal, and they're waiting for a hope and a prayer that it would, and they got their wish. Others, Mark Mitchell, Jackson Kohler, the other ones that Kentucky are tied to, Trimble. they didn't enter the portal. They were like, okay, it's time for me to go on the next chapter of my life. Maybe that was the G League. Maybe that's overseas ball. Now, if you're granted this second chance, or I guess fifth chance to play college football, now you jump back in and take it. Neither one was really expecting to happen. It did happen. I think it's sillier to sit there and say you're going to punish a team like Kentucky, but Florida came up with, for a player who had no eligibility, and I love Zell. There'll be no hate in my heart for Denzel Aberdeen for what he did for Kentucky last year, but he had no eligibility left. The Florida Gators got him an NIL package and a commitment to play. Put him, he's practicing, living on campus, doing all that stuff. He's got no eligibility. We're paying him as a college athlete. How does that make any sense? But we don't mention that. Greg Sankey's like, I ain't gonna touch that one. That one seems okay.
Well, no, because I mean, when you're your lead horse is your best shot of doing anything, why would you hurt them? Because he legitimately thinks that's his best basketball team and his best shot at a national championship. So why would you penalize that team?
And you just talked about what money does. It's coming together. It's all about the money. But I would expect we get something tomorrow. I really do. I don't think this thing drags out till Friday, especially with these other court decisions already coming out today. It was clear the NCAA had gotten their argument in early to the judge. So, what they're waiting for, I'm not sure. Hopefully we get something tomorrow, and then we can wrap this thing up by the weekend. But we are 10 days away from college football. Big Saturday, not this one, but next one. When you look at the week 0 games, you got North Carolina and TCU going to Dublin. You got NDSU and Jackson State playing. Is there a game that pops out to you as a potential just welcome back to college football game? Like, hey, we got it. Excited to go into the true big games of week 1. But what should get me excited about this week 0? I know Hammer and Drew have been deep into the college football, closing it out tomorrow with the SEC and Notre Dame. But what's this week 0 look like, and what should get the fans excited about some of these games and teams maybe they're not so familiar with?
Well, I think one thing that's kind of headlining is North Dakota State has entered the D1, the FBS conversation. So I think that's going to be a neat story to kind of follow. And they open week 0 at home in the Fargo Dome against Jacksonville State. I think Hawaii is going to be an interesting team to watch this year, a lot of fun to watch. And then I know it's smaller level, but UNLV Memphis is going to be a fantastic game. It's the final game on the slate. It's in Vegas, and I think Dan Mullen's got a pretty special team this year. So that one has potential to be fireworks, but it's not going to be the same Memphis team that we've seen in years past. Obviously Silverfield has moved on to go be Arkansas's next future ex-coach. And the offense is going to look a little different for Memphis than it has. But still, both of these teams will be in that, possibly be in that group of 6 conversation when we roll into the final, CFP rankings and whatnot. So conference championship weekend. And of course, if you like that stuff they do in the ACC, North Carolina State, Virginia is an interesting matchup. That I highly doubt anybody's going to seriously challenge Miami, but I think it's wide open. And I'm looking at you, Clemson. That conference is wide open to get to the other side of that bracket to play for the conference championship against Miami. And I like one of those 2 teams to possibly do that. So,
is it crazy to think the NC State's gonna win that game?
Hammer, take the floor.
I am a big CJ Bailey fan. I know there's some question marks on that NC State roster, but the defense can just be good, not great, good. And if Bailey has the kind of season that I think he's primed for, then I think this NC State team is going to cause some problems. Virginia probably has the better roster top to bottom. Yes, the game is in Charlottesville. I'm going to throw you a free one out there, everybody. You don't have to wait till next Saturday to hear it. I think the wrong team might be favored in this one. So I've already locked in NC State plus the points, and I dropped a little coffee, donut, and kolache money on NC State outright. I think they've got a shot to win that game.
So ESPN has 70% chance to win just per their analytics, which does not reflect the sports books most of the time. What is the points? Do you know off the top of your head, Hammer, for NC State on the road?
5.5.
5.5.
I like that bet a lot. That's got a field goal game written all over it.
It does.
Field
I think
goal,
so.
Yeah.
Especially a conference game in week 1.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I did, and T was on the show, I felt really good about Georgia Tech and what they could do in the ACC. I had the same feeling with this NC State Wolfpack team. I think they could be a surprise in the ACC. Seems like you feel the same way, Hammer, of getting a couple big time wins. And if they start off with one on the road, automatically, okay, team on the map, watch out for them. They could find themselves that could be the springboard for them to be that number 2 team in the ACC, because I think we all believe it is Miami, it is Louisville, and it is Clemson and NC State and Virginia, and they're all kind of just real tight up at that. And Virginia Tech, let's not forget about what Drew Franklin could do as well. James Franklin, I'm saying Drew.
Yeah, and I know you hate to hear this, and we talked about it Saturday a little bit, but when I did my ACC rankings for one of our media friends, shout out Hunter Sansom, I actually put Louisville second in the conference. So I think on paper they're probably the best team.
I think
outside of Miami. However, we see crazy things happen. You can't predict injury. And, Louisville's got a pretty easy schedule, let's be honest. But you never know. And I think, to your point, if NC State can start hot, they could probably go on a tear because they've got a manageable schedule. So I'm just saying, I've got a touch on them winning the conference, which isn't going to happen. I'm telling you right now, it's probably not going to happen, but I still bet it because it's good value. And I think they're going to surprise some people. So this is where I think it starts.
Yep. I agree with you there. And per your ACC conversation, we had the Beyond the Bench boys on. I don't want to do it, but I think I'm going to have to take that 8 to 8.5, whatever sport book you have for Louisville, just to hedge my bet, because as you were talking, I'm looking at that schedule. I think 9 wins is pretty easy for them. I
bet it while we were on the show.
Yeah.
That.
And I think I might have to hedge my bet for that Kentucky Louisville $200 that I laid out. So might as well make some money off of Louisville if they're going to cost me money in that matchup at the end of the season. Still confident we're going to win it, but just in case, hedge my bet there a little bit.
Yeah, in fact, and again, I know that's the last thing you want to hear is me singing Louisville's praises, but I went ahead and bet over 9.5 wins as well at plus 300 because there's a path.
10-2 is a real possibility.
There's a path to 10-2 for Louisville.
Yeah, and that path is beating NC State, right? They'd have to beat NC State to. That's probably one of their tougher games if we think NC State is going to be as good.
I think it's going to be tougher than what the line is going to show unless NC State comes out looking like a world beater in the first few weeks. Yeah, Louisville will probably be fairly heavily favored in that game, maybe more than a touchdown.
T, you got an ACC take? You think anybody challenges Miami or Louisville?
No, I don't have a take, but I do think what's the coach at Virginia? What's his name? Tony Elliott.
Tony Elliott.
Yeah, I think he's a good coach. So I would like to see what he's got Virginia looking like this year, but I don't really have a hot take or anything. I think Miami wins, and then you got some kind of 3-4-way battle between SMU, maybe Dabo finds some magic again, Clemson, and whoever, Louisville.
Yeah, most likely whoever wins Louisville SMU, that's probably going to be who plays Miami in the conference championship game. But
yeah, you don't want to forget about SMU. It's kind of easy to.
Kevin Jennings is still there.
But yeah, they can play. But I really like Tony Elliott as a coach. So I'm interested to see what kind of product he puts out on the field with Virginia.
To me, the biggest problem with Virginia is their quarterback. They got Bo Pribula out of Missouri, who obviously I watched a lot last year, and he looked great early in the year against some of the lower teams. But as the year went on, Mizzou literally turned into like a running offense. Obviously, they have one of the best, if not the best, running back rooms in the country. Mm-hmm. And then they turned Pribula into a full-on runner too. And then he started struggling a lot throwing the football. He had an injury as well. And then Missouri's offense was gone after that because they were so easy to prepare for. And then they ran into some tough defenses too. So I think Tony Elliott's a great coach. Virginia has some talent around him. Virginia is good enough to compete for the ACC or for that second spot in the ACC. It's literally just going to come down to, for me, what is Bo Pribula this year at quarterback? Is he just a runner, or can he develop and be accurate passer and then use his legs to extend plays or in red zone situations and not just be a full-on, Army-looking quarterback out there with quarterback draws and QB powers all the time? You got to be able to throw the football. So that's my biggest question mark.
Yeah, he was pretty interested on coming to Tennessee, and Heupel wouldn't. Heupel wouldn't have someone.
Yeah, we need someone to sling the rock, man, and you ain't it.
I think that's a good point, Drew. He is a question mark now. He's playing in the ACC, not the SEC, so he could potentially be more impactful there than he would have in the SEC. But yeah, he wanted to come to Tennessee, and Heupel wasn't really biting.
They also have Eli Holstein, who Bo Pribula won the job over, but he started a couple games at Pitt last year, if I'm not mistaken, or played in some games. And he had some really good games, some really good moments, and he had some bad ones. So Pribula won the job, but if he does struggle, they could always go to Holstein, who's shown the ability to throw the rock a little bit, in his kind of short playing career at Pitt. But that'll be interesting to watch if there's a quarterback change or if Pribula turns out to be a pretty good quarterback this year.
I wonder why Claire says Dabo is back.
Yeah, I'm putting this up. So Claire, first off, I just saw it. You're my favorite type of people who actually like the content and subscribe. They don't just comment and then, just leave us hanging. So thank you so much for doing that. Now, I agree with you on Louisville will inevitably lose 3 games. I believe that to happen. I think 9-3 is where they end up, but that still hits their over, which is why I'm feeling more and more confident about that bet. Louisville will lose a game that they shouldn't, and then they'll lose 2 against better teams. Now, Dabo being back, yeah, you have to explain that one because I don't see that. I am more on this is Dabo's last year, maybe last 2 years, they find a way to pay that buyout. I think he is destined for a ESPN or Fox booth somewhere instead of being on the sideline for Clemson, to be quite honest.
I think I always hold that thought of I don't know, man, because Dabo Swinney is, he ran college football for 4 to 5 years, and the sport ran through Clemson. And even though they've been bad,
But
And
what
even
was
though
the
they
thing, Drew? What
What?
changed? What changed?
the portal changed, but we got to remember, just 2 years ago, they made the playoffs.
Well, somebody had to out of that conference.
Yeah.
Correct. But could they do it again? I don't know.
Dabo hates NIL. He hasn't adapted to with NIL or the transfer portal. And when those things happen and change college football, you had coaches who adapted, and you had coaches that didn't, and the ones that didn't want to adapt left. Nick Saban got tired of it. He decided to leave. Dabo's still holding on for dear life that the old way of college football is going to come back, and it's just not going to happen.
Well, it's why GMs are so important now to me and like the front office structure, because if a head coach doesn't want to do it, now he's got to at least want to do it a little bit. But if he doesn't want to do it the way that we see some of these other coaches, at least that front office and those GMs and those people around the program can kind of help with some of those things. To me, I don't know. I don't study Clemson top to bottom like I do some of the SEC teams and some of the other programs. So I don't even know if they have that. But I think that would be smart for Clemson to get or to utilize more, because if Dabo doesn't want to do all the messy NIL negotiations and all the portal recruiting, he can find people to at least take, let's say, 85% of that off his plate and just worry about the things that he needs to be involved in as the head coach. So that to me is something I'm monitoring. In terms of just coaching, though, I still have belief in Dabo Swinney as a football coach. He's won 2 national championships. Clemson was at the top of the sport for 5 to 6 years. You don't just forget how to coach football. I think the hardest part is, can you figure out how to maneuver the day and age of the landscape of college football? That I don't think Dabo's figured out. But in terms of coaching football, if he's got a healthy team, if he's got a talented team, I would still put him up there against some of the best coaches in the sport.
Didn't he utilize the transfer portal a little bit more this year than he has?
Yeah, he got in there a little bit.
Maybe that's what Claire is pointing to, the fact that he is trying to evolve. He seems to be doing it a little slow to me. I don't know that I expect Clemson to be any good, but I'm with you. I still think Dabo is a great coach, and so he still gets a little bit of the benefit of the doubt with me. Though I'm not a huge fan of what his approach has been the last few years. I know he knows how to coach football.
Yeah, and when you're a program like Clemson, you don't have to be a portal heavy driven program. You can recruit the best freshmen in the country, and you can retain those guys and develop those guys. You don't have to – Clemson doesn't need to go out there and get 50 transfer portal guys, but can they use it to supplement some holes they have on the roster? Can they use it to bring in production when they lose production from the roster? To me, that's what Clemson needs to buy into more, because they're going to get the freshmen. Dabo can develop, and that staff and that program's developed great players over the years. I think a front office and a GM would be helpful. And then I think obviously they don't have to load up in the portal, but just plucking some guys, get 2 starting offensive linemen that could come in and make the group better. Get a big time running back, get a big time linebacker in a corner, but you don't need to go get 40 transfer portal guys.
The problem is, because he's not a big NIL guy, he's not going to pay the right guys that you need to plug in, your holes to keep you in contention. He's not going to pay them what they're going to get paid elsewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
They got Chris Johnson from SMU out of the portal. So running back wise, they're pretty good. My concern with them is obviously they've got a new quarterback, question mark automatically. Chad Morris is back as the offensive coordinator, but the cupboard is not quite as stacked as it was the last time he was there. And they only have 1 returner on the offensive line. And what they do have, they got a lot of youngins, as I like to say. So, and they only had, was it 3? I'll tell you, I got notes. They averaged 3.9 yards a carry last year. Part of that was because they, let Klubnik sling it all over the place. But when they needed to run the football, they struggled doing that because they had over 5 yards a carry the year before. So if the offensive line can come together, sounds like a broken record that we're talking about every other college football team. But they got a new quarterback. They got a new offensive coordinator. It's new to Vizina or whatever his name is. And they've got question marks on the offensive line. For me, that's not a recipe for success, even in a weak-ass conference like the ACC. They started at LSU, a night game. That will set the tone.
Well, and that lets us know something too, right? Like that has not been one of the hyped games for opening week.
Mm-hmm. How many people talk about it? Right.
Yeah, nobody's talking about it. And it's Clemson versus LSU, and nobody cares because Clemson's not – the last couple of years they haven't been holding up their end of the bargain. I'm still with Claire on the last comment. Maybe not completely with her, but Dabo does still get a little bit of grace. But, yeah, there's probably too many questions, so they're probably a tier below SMU, Virginia, and Louisville. But going into the season until they show us a weak sauce product, I'll give Dabo a little bit of benefit of the doubt.
Yeah. We also were mentioning the week 0 games. And Hammer mentioned it. I'm so fired up for Memphis UNLV. I think that game's going to be awesome. Two teams. UNLV, they returned a lot of guys, but they also brought in, Jackson Arnold, certainly at quarterback. And they still haven't announced their starter. It's also Alex Orges in the mix, who played at Michigan or transferred from Michigan the year before. So that'll be interesting. But to me, those are 2 of the 3 teams in the group of 6 that can make the playoffs. And that's a big-time game for both programs because if you win that, could catapult so much stuff. And you have a head-to-head win over those teams. I can't wait for that game. I can't wait for that game. It's gonna be a lot of fun. And it will be interesting to see Memphis because they brought in a lot of talent. Charles Huff, who did a great job. He's been moving around all over the place from Marshall to Southern Miss, now to Memphis, brought in a bunch of talent. It'll be interesting to see what Memphis looks like because they've been really good in their group of 6 the last few years. And people look – and Ryan Silverfield obviously gets an SEC job, but a lot of people think that they've underperformed the last few years based off of their teams and their resources. So I can't wait to see that game. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Is speaking of UNLV, Harrison Bailey, he's done, Hammer, or is he somewhere?
I thought he was somewhere.
Okay. UNLV was like the last place I knew of him to be at, but I didn't know if he had run out. Well, I guess maybe he has an extra year now with the 5 for 5.
Oh, Lord.
I had such high hopes for him. I thought he was going to be a good ball player. To me, he's one of those cautionary tales of it's not grass, not always greener when you transfer out.
Because he was at Florida last year. Is he done?
I didn't even know that. I thought he was at UNLV still.
Well, he ended his college career. So, no, I'm sorry. I apologize. He is not. He's done. And
okay.
After going to Florida, he should be.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I suppose he could try to hop on with someone now with this 5 for 5 thing, but I don't know that he's going to have many takers.
Yeah, that didn't work out the way that really anybody thought with him. So,
I'm telling you, his true freshman year, he had me excited. I thought he had some potential to do something his junior or senior year with us, but
yeah.
He left after a year because he wasn't starting, and shoot, he's been to like 5 programs since.
Yeah, he's been all over the place. He's given Tate Martell a run for his money.
Yeah.
That's a.
I think Clemson wins 8 games. Let me just throw that out there.
Do you know what their over under is at?
I didn't bet them because I don't like them. But let me look.
Now, how much?
7.5.
I'll ask you guys this, though. How much would it change the perception of Clemson if they were to go into Death Valley week 1 and upset Lane Kiffin and the LSU Tigers.
It'd be huge.
Huge.
That would be huge.
Yeah. Because everybody's already anointed Lane in the CFP, probably going to be in the conference championship game in the SEC. Like, I don't get it. Yeah, they've got talent at LSU. They always have talent at LSU, but I've seen them underperform as many times as I've seen them win.
Their schedule is brutal too.
Their schedule's brutal,
especially late in the year. It's
And
going
I
to
love it for them. I love it for them.
absolutely love it. So yeah, they knock off. Well, they're 11. They're not quite top 10 team, but they knock off a highly valued SEC team in their stadium week 1. Then you're going to hear a lot of Clemson buzz at least till about week 4 or 5, because that trip to Berkeley is not going to be fun. Mm-hmm. The following week they play Miami. Even though they get them at home, I don't think it matters. They play that game on the moon. Virginia Tech is home, but again, not a cakewalk. At Florida State, at Syracuse, should be wins. Home to Georgia Tech. I'm not drinking the Georgia Tech Kool-Aid. I don't understand why everybody is so high on them. And then at Duke, and they host South Carolina. So there's landmines all over that schedule. And if they start out hot, get some confidence, that offensive line, like I said, can come together. Quarterback shows competence. We could be talking about a totally different Clemson team, November 28th.
Yeah, and it would change the perception of Dabo real fast.
Oh, absolutely, 100% would, because guess what he did? He went out and got transfers.
Yeah.
Boosted
he got transfers.
Yeah. So the one thing that everybody's kind of, held against him and kind of kicked him down for not doing, he's gotten on board at least. Now, I don't know if anybody's getting paid, but they obviously are believing what Dabo's selling.
Week 1, the big matchup is Texas-Ohio State, right? That's week 1?
Correct.
But they're in Austin this year because they were in Columbus last year.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Who y'all think wins that game? I'm just curious.
I would love to see Ohio State win it. I think Texas wins, but I hate Texas so much. So I hope Arch throws for 500 yards, and because, Arch seems like a good enough kid, I got no beef with him. So he can play well or not. I don't really care. But I, no matter what, hope Texas comes out with the L.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with Texas. It's at home. I don't know, man. This Will Muschamp sort of thing on defense going to be weird to see. But
I think he's an incredible defensive coordinator. I hate the fact that they got him.
Yeah, but they fired a good defensive coordinator too.
They did. So they already had a good defense, but that's where I think Muschamp. It's not. I don't think they fired the dude because he was. Yeah, exactly. He takes them from good or even great potentially to elite. Yeah. And actually, now that I said it out loud, Hammer, I changed my mind. I still wish no ill will on Arch, but I hope he plays terribly because I want his confidence to be terrible when he's coming into Knoxville. Yeah, all out the rest of the season after he plays us, but I hope he's doubting himself all the way through to UT.
It's week 2, T. I'm sorry. It's week 2 they play. The week 0 thing messes me up.
Yeah.
But yeah, they play at Texas on September 12th.
So then what's the biggest week 1 game?
That's a good question. Let's see.
Is that and it's not LSU Clemson, even though
that might be.
It can't be. There's got to be something better. I'm scrolling through it right now.
I mean, Oregon, Boise State, they're not a good game, but that's going to be an interesting game, potentially. I think Oregon's the best team in the country, but Boise hung with them 2 years ago. We got Baylor, Auburn, too. So that'll be – that's not the best in the week, but that'll be an interesting one for sure.
So they gave us a terrible week 1 slate.
Yeah, week 1's not looking great.
which is genius though, right? Because we're gonna watch because we're so starved.
Everybody's so excited.
Yes, we're so starved for football.
Yeah. You got better games week 0, which is a little crazy. I mean, North Texas, Indiana's not terrible name wise. Now North Texas is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, because their coach went to Oklahoma State, right?
Exactly. Yeah,
and took all the team with them.
You got James Madison and Liberty, which I mean, it's not a bad matchup for what it is, but outside of that, man, it's
So
a lot of week one for me
week one is sparse.
Yeah. Week one to me is watching all the SEC teams, like see what they look like while they're winning by 50.
Yeah, that's the thing. I remember when Nico and them put up 500 points on whoever it was we played, ETSU or something, and everybody was all hype, and I was like, nah, that just
settle down, Beavis.
Yeah, you can't put any stock into it.
Yeah,
or even when we smacked New Mexico State, which was funny because I actually had a work trip down in Las Cruces that week, so I made sure I was wearing all my Tennessee gear. Right, I'm trying to and those folks did not care at all. They didn't even know they were playing Tennessee.
Yeah, they didn't even know.
They didn't even know.
Yeah, Tennessee's a 46.5-point favorite over Furman. The only other line that I see bigger is BYU over Utah Tech, which I think is an online school. So they'll just have pictures of players there, and they're favored by 47.5.
My goodness.
Yeah, but week 2 is a good one because you got Michigan, Oklahoma. You got Texas, Ohio State. I mean, for us, and it'll be a big game because it's the first SEC game. But Kentucky, Alabama. Trying to think, is that the only big games week 2? And then after that, we really get into it. Like week 3, you get big conference matchups, and then we're off and rolling.
Yeah, I think we got to wait till week 2 is Georgia Tech for us, right?
Mm-hmm. Which will be an exciting game.
It'll be exciting. It's a night game, and it's in Atlanta. It'll be a good environment. I'm with Hammer. I think we're pretty comfortable in that one, but it'll be fun. Then we got another cupcake, but then we're right into the SEC schedule after that.
Yeah.
And that'll be a good test, in my opinion. That'll be a good test for whoever the young quarterback is that wins that battle.
You're right.
Because you got a lot of respect for Brent Key's defense and the line of scrimmage play. And if a young quarterback can come out of that game and put together a good game and manage the offensive line and not turn the ball over and those things, it would give – if I was a Tennessee fan, it'd give me a lot of confidence in the quarterback play moving forward throughout the gauntlet of the SEC.
Yeah. I do think that's something that we can garner some kind of information from. Like, let me just observe your composure and all that kind of stuff. I still think we can out talent them, but you're right. There are some intangibles that I think we'll be able to check out. And
one thing, Georgia Tech's probably in the SEC this year, probably somewhere between, I don't know, 9 to 14. They would probably incomparable to the SEC teams. So you'll still be able to take decent information from and the unique style of play. You'll be able to get a pretty good grasp of quarterback, your offensive line, defensive line, some of those.
I will say, I hope we can emerge from that healthy because they are fit. They may not be uber talented, but they are physical. So, Brent Key is going to have them playing a physical brand of football. So I do hope we can emerge from that healthy. That is probably my largest concern, is getting out of that healthy.
Hammer, you got something? Yeah, for sure. And we know
I can see the wheels spinning, so I was waiting.
No matter who it is.
Oh, there's a delay. Am I delayed on yours?
The freshman's first start on the road.
Okay. Sorry, I think me and Drew got a delay on your side.
Yeah. You're good. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. I was just going to say, because obviously we're going to lean into the running game quite a bit with a freshman making his first road start. So, probably not going to ask him to do too much. Take whatever the defense gives you and really not try to force anything. But I don't know, man. I mean, I know the Mendoza name carries some weight, but I mean, he's going to have to be just excessively good in that game, I think, for Tennessee to lose. And they did bring Justice Haynes in from Michigan, which is a little bit concerning. But I'm sold on our defense and running game travel. So I just think it's going to be a problem for them with our team, regardless. As long as our quarterback doesn't turn the ball over, we win that game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
and Drew, I don't remember what was y'all have Bama. That's your first. What's your out of conference big game? Your Power 5 game.
Louisville.
Oh, so that's not till the end of the year.
Yeah.
So what are your first three?
It's Youngstown State, and then Alabama, at Texas A&M, and then we play South Alabama. So Youngstown State, South Alabama, and then Louisville are the three non-cons.
Man, y'all are.
Yeah, we hit the road fast.
Y'all are jumping right into it.
Yeah,
right into the fire.
There's no like, figuring out. I mean, it's tough when you got a year one head coach, bunch of new players, quarterback who's hardly played in college. There's no time to get comfortable. Like you're out of the gate. It's like you're racing at the Kentucky Derby. You get in the chute, and then boom, you're off and going. So, but it'll be fun. I mean, I don't like playing the bad teams either. That stuff gets boring after about 1 quarter.
It does. So, I don't know, Joshy Boy. Joshy Boy saying we're going 10-2. I feel like Joshy Boy was Negaball for the longest this offseason and was on like some 8-4 type. What has changed? That's what I need. That's what I need to know. I don't disagree with him about Joey though. I hadn't seen anybody saying anything about Joey recently though. Have you been seeing some stuff online, Hammer?
I really haven't. I mean, some tribute stuff, and we miss you, that kind of thing. But I think the noise is settled, because the one thing we needed to hear in fall camp was we have a legit quarterback competition, that both these guys look good. But I'm gonna put another foot in the grave on this hill. If McIntyre was better than Brandon, he would already be named the starter, because he's already been in the system a year. Mm-hmm. So if he's not a clear-cut starter coming in, and we're saying, well, they're kind of even, then I want to go with Faison.
Yeah.
So that's where I am with it. But I think that has quietened that crowd down considerably. Had we heard neither quarterback's looking good, or one has a good day one day, the other was terrible, and vice versa, then I think the Joey noise probably would start back up with the whole 5-5 thing. But yeah, it's kind of been quiet, and I'll forever love Joey Aguilar for, just his warrior spirit, how he and his family embraced the fan base, and vice versa, how we love them. But yeah, he's
I agree. And I think we just made it through our grief continuum, right? We finally made it through the bargaining and all that, and we're at acceptance now. We're like, hey, look, camp has already started. These are our two guys. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah.
I think if Faison starts, then GMAC is 100% transferring. Mm-hmm. I think if GMAC starts, we have a chance that Faison stays, though.
True.
And then
you could redshirt and then have a two-year gap between their ages. So
I think the job is Faison's next year, period.
Agreed.
So I think it's a greater than 50-50 chance that Faison stays if GMAC starts. I think it's a 100% chance that GMAC goes if Faison starts. And honestly, I would get it. I would understand, because he's got a whole career ahead of him, because he's a redshirt freshman, and he's not going to supplant Faison. So
Yeah.
No.
Also, that doesn't mean he has to transfer to a G6 school. Like, if he's really good in Tennessee's camp and Tennessee's staff, when schools call about him, really rave about him, he could transfer to a Power 4 school.
Correct.
But look at Kenny Minchie. Kenny Minchie sat at Notre Dame for 3 years, and he gets the starting quarterback job at Kentucky. Now, why couldn't GMAC transfer to, I don't know, let's just
UCLA and go take Nico's job?
UCLA or Wake Forest, or, I'm just throwing out random jobs, or even like Vandy, if Jared Curtis isn't good or he transfers, he goes to Peabody. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Arkansas, I don't know. So if he's really good at Tennessee's camp, he'll find a Power 4 school that wants him because he's still a talented kid. He was a good recruit. He's still young enough. If he's good in the camp, he'll find a decent place to land. It doesn't have to be a G6, or maybe he wants to do that and go put up big numbers and then come back to a big time program. It just depends on the kid, but also depends on what he really is behind the scenes in Tennessee's, practice and stuff.
I think that's a good point. I know everybody's been on him for how skinny he is. I think people forget that Nico was very, very slender as well. Like Nico. So they're the same size, I think, Nico and GMAC. So I understand, Joshy boy, you're not wrong that he's skinny, but Nico was out there getting absolutely blasted into SEC and Ohio State, cracking his helmet and all that, and he was still okay. The pads work, so he'll be all right.
Yeah, but doesn't Faison just physically, doesn't he look like a QB1?
No question. And he does not look like a true freshman either.
No, he looks like he belongs on that field.
Yeah. And I think so when people have been getting hype about GMAC, it's been in the normal practices. GMAC is a pocket passer. So of course he is that's kind of playing to his strength. And then where Faison helps himself is on Saturday when we scrimmage. He's able to show that extra dynamic of escapability and creativity that GMAC doesn't really, not that GMAC can't move, but he doesn't have that escapability and creative play ability that Faison does. And that extra dynamic just makes, that's why I think it's Faison's to lose.
Agreed. Yeah. And apparently he throws really well on the run, which is very dangerous with this receiving core.
Yep.
So I'm very excited. Sorry?
I also think running is a big deal, especially in Tennessee's offense. If you're a good running quarterback, which it sounds like Faison Brandon is a really good athlete, I think that ultimately could be what wins him the job, because when you get in those tight situations or you get in the 4th and 1s or you're in the red zone, having a quarterback that can scramble or that you can have designed runs or read runs to with the quarterback makes your offense so much better. And then you factor in that it's Josh Heupel's offense and Tennessee and how dangerous they already are. And then you add in another element to the defense. It's damn near unstoppable.
I loved Joey as much as the next person, but my goodness, he was slow. And it used to frustrate me so much. Why? Because he would be running, as fast as he could possibly go. And he couldn't. Luckily, he was smart, so he could pick and choose his times. But he would have so much grass, and it would just get closed so quickly.
I think Faison will. I'm not saying out of the gate, so don't everybody at me. I think our offense is going to look more like a Hendon Hooker-led offense with Brandon than not, because a lot of the same traits and dynamics, I think, between those two. And not comparing him to Hendon. Hendon was special for sure, but I think Faison can be that type of player. Josh, I can't even make something up to answer that question. I was in complete and absolute shock.
He was all SEC last year, right?
Yeah. I have no answer for that. That is, I mean, everybody talks about the bias against Tennessee, and I think a lot of that's narrative. But I will say this: if I've ever seen anything that is biased against Tennessee, this is it.
Yeah, it's a terrible list. I'm not stressing it, other than the fact that it's irritating that he got snubbed.
Yeah.
But it's a preseason list, so I don't care. I know he'll be on the watch list come in season.
Yeah.
What's up, Whiskey?
Hey, Whiskey.
To answer Emmett's question, Rando informed us that his neighbor is getting raided by the SWAT team. So when he's not here, it's 2-1. So we unfortunately we have to dive into the Vols. But you know what? I don't mind talking about the Vols. I don't mind talking about other teams.
You getting to feel what me and Hammer feel every week, though.
Yeah, but I don't hate it. So I enjoy it.
Nah, it's all in.
Well, let's talk about guys you've actually heard of.
Yeah.
When y'all start going through Kentucky's football roster,
Well,
I'm over here
Rando
looking
didn't
up, what
get
the hell is that?
Yeah.
Rando didn't get raided by the SWAT, just his neighbor did.
Thankfully.
Yeah, it would have been a different story if it was old Rando getting raided. I don't know what's going on. A lot of questions. Watching for I don't know how long it was going. What, a good 20 minutes?
Oh, you were gone? I didn't notice.
That's rude.
What? No, we were having a good conversation. I didn't notice you were gone.
We were giving a little sneak peek into the All Vol podcast.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, good. That's I'm glad I stepped away then. But yeah, a lot of it took forever to get some people out of the house. None of them got hooked up. All of them, they used my driveway as the staging area for these people that were getting pulled out of the house. And they cleared up and they left with nobody. So
a whole lot of nothing then.
Don't really know. And I'm watching. I was like, there's no one around the backside of the house. And whoever they were looking for, I imagine, went that way. So, but hey, no judging for me. But tactical question marks for sure. Did I interrupt conversation, or were y'all wrapping it up?
No, we're good.
Perfect. Well, Hammer, before we to close out, I would love for you to preview the show tomorrow for Notre Dame and SEC. Good friend Vic, I believe, is coming on the show. But what can they expect, and what time is that thing going live tomorrow?
Well, we will kick the festivities off at 7 Central, so it'll be 8 East for some of y'all. And we're just going to break down, we're going to talk about Notre Dame, obviously. That's one of the reasons that we, excited to have Vic on, other than just it's Vic. Mm-hmm. But we're just going to go team by team, and we're going to look at the win total for every team in the conference, kind of give some thoughts on where we think that it's going to fall, maybe a little bit of why. And then we'll probably obviously spend a little bit of time on Tennessee and Kentucky when we get there. But we'll give you win total projections. We'll give you who we think is going to be in the conference championship game, who's going to win the conference, who we think might get into the college football playoff. Because it's looking like probably about 4 teams from the SEC going to be making that trip at the end of the season. So,
all right. Well, tomorrow 7 Central, given 7 Central because that's the Vic time zone, 8 Eastern. We'll get on here. I might jump in here tomorrow.
I'll allow it.
Give my SEC take.
Yep.
And then after that, we will be on here for the happy hour show, of course. Then we'll have Coach Ryan. We'll see if we can collect some other guests working some things. And then on Saturday, Hammer, we are a week away from the debut show. Don't give out too many good bets tomorrow.
Nope.
I know, keep them chambered. So we can give them out all Wednesday. So that's all coming together. I had a long conversation with Vic. He's teaching me the ways of the radio, had to drop in little breaks, and I'm driving to work practicing my intros and outros. So we'll see. I'm guaranteed to screw it up once it goes live. But whatever. It's only going to be it's going to be on the radio for a good 10 to 15,000 natural listeners. So what we got to do is keep them hooked once. It doesn't matter how I sound, Hammer. As long as you make them money, they'll keep coming back.
That's it.
So
it doesn't matter.
Yep.
We can screw up all the time if we come out of that thing like 8-1 or 9-2, something like that. Won't matter.
But all right, y'all. It's been fun. I'm gonna go back upstairs and peek and see what's going on. Man,
You got
make sure I
entertainment
don't miss
out
it.
there.
Yeah. You got your gummy snacks?
Steal your kids' snacks, kids.
Yep.
Best-
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, because I saw Halloween candy in. I had to go to the Marts and saw Halloween candy in there. So that's the best time of the year because you go raid their Halloween candy and get what you want. Because tell them this is terrible for you. You don't want that. And,
yeah. I'm trying to save you.
yeah,
Hey,
I'm doing you a favor here. I'm
going
gonna take one for the team and eat up all them.
All the Reese's.
Three Musketeers or whatever.
Yeah. As we get into late August, September, T knows this. I don't know if y'all do, and I don't know if I've revealed this yet, but I am basic as hell about the pumpkin stuff, man. Pumpkin spice life for life. And then you roll into December. As the wife is giggling at me right now. Everybody's hiding in the basement because we don't know how bad these people are across the street. Though apparently not too bad because again, nothing happened. But you get a good 2 months of pumpkin season, and then you roll right into peppermint bark season, December, January. It is.
I'm not a peppermint
It
guy.
is the great. No one asked you, Drew. It is the greatest part of the year for sure.
So you're on the pumpkin spice train.
Oh, he's out of control.
yeah.
He is not
out of
on the
control.
train. He is the
He
conductor.
runs the train.
Yeah, I run
He is
that
the
train.
conductor. He is out of control.
I will have a good 4, 5, 6 skinny girl pumpkin syrups in the house for sure.
Dear God.
And I'm not ashamed of it at all. I'm not embarrassed by it.
Clearly.
But hey, I saw Whiskey on here. Whiskey, give Mercy our love. I know she's battling through some stuff. Y'all personal business, but a lot of people who watch the show know that she is she's a fighter and she's fighting through it. So make sure you give a message from us to her that our thoughts and prayers going out for her and y'all and the family. So please keep us updated. But want to make sure we get that message out to everybody. And if you're a faith-based person, keep her in her thoughts and prayers as well. But I appreciate y'all. Shout out Bluegrass Elite. Got a box. I'm going to do a little reveal. They sent me some of the new Kentucky stuff and the new Heavy Pour Sports stuff that goes out. They sent out ESPN 107 The Game, some free merch as well. So Bluegrass Elite spreading throughout the state of Kentucky. It will eventually get down to that southern border rival state as well. But and then State Line Co. as always. Appreciate that support. Go to bluegrass-elite.com, heavy pour 15% off, and statelineco.shop, all UK ball 25, get you 25% off. They still got some power case stuff there, so go check it out. And some new drops right around the corner. T, Hammer, Drew, appreciate you. We will see you tomorrow for SEC and Notre Dame talk, and again for a little happy hour show. And I'm going to try not to turn on as much as I did last week because I went back as we were clipping those videos. Might have overdone a little bit. But as always, go Cats. See you tomorrow.
Go Cats. See you tomorrow.
Go Big Orange.
Go Vols.
Play the music.
On a whole nother level. Let's get it. Run it up. Check the scope. Money talk, money mo. Yeah. Main crew say they weed it. Kicking down the door. Run it up. Check the scope. Money talk, money mo. What? Main crew say they with it. Kicking down the door. Let's go. And it's the whole lane when I'm driving the machine.